video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Hunt for the Decepticons Scout Class Insecticon. This is one of the very few Michael Bay live-action movie characters that up until this point I never actually had in the collection, and the Insecticon is a character that I've been on the hunt for so many years. However, it's just been so difficult to actually track him down for a reasonable price, let alone mint in the packaging. However, very recently an opportunity arose, and there was no way I was going to give this guy a miss, as I really don't think we're going to get anything like this from the Studio Series for the Insecticons as they appeared in Revenge of the Fallen. And so here you have the old Hunt for the Decepticons packaging. Now this line truly, at least in my opinion, was fantastic. It gave us some concept characters, some G1 characters that were done in a slightly more live action movie aesthetic, and it gave us some of those smaller characters that we never actually got from Revenge of the Fallen, such as the Insecticon. And I believe that also characters such as Ravage were also introduced with a much more movie accurate paint deco, and I am trying my best to actually find a Sea Attack Ravage, so be sure to stay tuned to the channel. But you can see here we've got a blister card pack fully showcasing the Insecticon off in his robot mode. Of course, this is a character that we see very briefly in the Egyptian battle sequence, where he does in fact actually fly through that very small hole in order to spy on Sam and Michaela, in order to give Starscream the coordinates as to where they're hiding out. Super cool sequence. You can see Transformers. This guy is in fact supposed to be an easy conversion. Don't worry, I'll be the judge of that. And actually taking a look here at the package, considering this guy is dubbed as a Scout class, he definitely looks near enough as big as the Studio Series 2007 Jazz, which is definitely really interesting. You can see Insecticon, Decepticon. We've got the Scout there. As we spin around here to the back, we've got some cool images of the character in robot mode as well as in his Insecticon mode. And we have a very, very brief bio. Insecticon teams up with Ravage to hunt and destroy Bumblebee. Sadly, I don't really think that's actually the narrative that we see in the movie, but nevertheless, without further ado, let's crack open this Scout class Insecticon and see whether or not this guy was truly worth almost a decade worth of a wait. And so here we have the Insecticon cracked open and out of the packaging, and the figure has actually turned out great. Honestly, Hasbro were knocking it out of the park back in the day with these Scout class figures. These are so well done, and it really makes me wish that we could get characters like this in the Studio Series line. I know there are some rumors going around that we may actually see some Studio Series figures introduced into core class, and here's hoping that maybe we can get some form of a Michael Bay movie-verse version of an Insecticon in that line somewhere in the near future. But up until that point, we have got a fantastic figure here in the form of this Hunt for the Decepticons version. Now, sadly, in the movie, the Insecticons never actually transform in their robot forms, and I believe there is only one, so it's up to your own personal preference as to whether or not this guy is kickback or whether or not he is just a complete new character in general. But I think the design is excellent. It definitely looks like a robot form that you would expect from a Michael Bay Insecticon. In regards to the detail, the face sculpt actually looks fantastic. You can see there we've got some wicked looking paint apps going on for the face. We've got what appear to be mandibles scattered all the way throughout, looking very insectoid in terms of the design. You can see some super red beady eyes. We've even got some nice metallic paint here at the crest, which is just such an awesome amount of detail. As we turn our attention here to the top, you can see various different hydraulics as well as piston detailing. Honestly, the sculpt work on this guy is phenomenal, and it's also worth mentioning that the actual plastic quality, considering his scale, and I believe that back in the day these figures were something like 6 to 7 pounds, honestly, it's so well done. You can see how we've got this almost General Kenobi-esque arm design going on here with these multiple arms protruding off to the sides. These actually look great in my opinion. You can see they're all clawed here at the top, very nice and spiked, and we've got some really awesome mechanical detailing here for the shoulder region. As we spin our attention to the side of the figure, you can see some wicked mechanical detailing there, which is something they just didn't have to add, let alone paint, so that really is awesome. And you can also see this wicked cybernetic detailing that we've got going on here on the actual Insecticon wings, with some awesome Decepticon insignias actually painted. As we work our way down to the lower section of the figure, you can see the Insecticon head sculpt actually here for the torso, but I think it works perfectly. It looks really well done. Here for the legs, a chicken leg design as per tradition with some of those Revenge of the Fallen Michael Bay characters, or some awesome hydraulic detailing. And you can see here for the feet, very spiked in regards to their design. So overall, as far as the robot mode is concerned, I actually think this guy here looks fantastic. Now, in regards to his articulation, surprisingly, he's actually really well articulated. So here for the head, we have got a ball joint which can look left to right as well as can look up and down to quite a considerable degree, considering how much junk is actually here on the back of the head. The arms are on ball joints, so these can rotate left to right, hinge out to the sides. We also do get a rotation where I presume the bicep would be. We also do get an elbow joint, which is fantastic. Sadly, the pincers don't actually articulate, but there is also another rotation here at the actual shoulder. But here on my copy at least, there is a slight molding defect, meaning that 9 times out of 10 it will in fact actually want to pop off. But that once again is a pretty decent range of motion. Here for the wings, they are in fact on ball joints, so you can really lift these up to your own personal desire. I personally like to keep them down in order to create this almost cape motif for the character. We sadly don't get any form of waist rotation, but considering his scale I wouldn't expect it. We do get ball joints here at the leg legs, which can kick forwards that far, as well as back to about that far. They can, of course, hinge out to the sides, full rotation at the thigh, 90-degree bend here at the knee, which is terrific. And then finally, the foot can sort of pivot forwards and backwards due to transformation. So overall, in regards to detail, paint, sculpt, and articulation, this Scout class Revenge of the Fallen Insecticon definitely is looking fantastic. Here for a very quick live-action movie studio series comparison, we've got the old Hunt for the Decepticons Scout class Insecticon compared next to studio series Grinder as well as Starscream. And of course, the scale here is way out of whack, considering these guys really was tiny in the movie. And to be honest with you, I actually think when we get him transformed up into the Insecticon mode, that he's more or less pretty much spot on to how he was in comparison to Shia LaBeouf in the film. So in regards to a real life representation, I definitely think he'll scale really nicely with normal average sized humans, but definitely not so much here with some of your Leader and Voyagers. But to be fair, I don't think he looks too out of place with these guys at all, especially here in their robot forms. And of course, we'll bring this comparison back out when we actually do get this guy transformed up into the Insecticon mode. Now, time for the transformation. To begin with, the instructions actually make it out to be a lot more hassle than it actually is. So you're going to want to turn your attention to these ball joints and effectively just rotate them around so that the filled out section is facing forwards, and then rotate here at the bicep so that we've got something that looks along the lines of this. You're going to want to repeat this process for every single one of these. So just rotate this around, turn your attention to this side, rotate here, spin here at the bicep, and of course repeat the exact same process here. We're then going to want to come to the toes, just collapse the heel spur in just like so to create something along the lines of that. We can then turn our attention here to the head and the torso. You're going to want to detach this, angle this section down, and then actually pull this forwards as the robot mode head is in fact going to slide into this slot. So bring this forward and just snap that there into place, and then we can lift up the insectoid head to the top. We can then turn our attention here to this abdominal region. You're going to want to pull this all the way forwards just like so. We can then come to these legs and just angle these appropriately just like so, so the pointy sections are facing the ground. And then for some finishing touches, it really is just to take these shoulders, disengage them, and bring them inwards towards the torso, and then just angle these legs out appropriately. And there you've got the Insecticon fully transformed up into his insect robot mode, and actually looking fantastic. I've got to be honest, this guy looks incredible. The color of green they've used, as well as the transparent blue we've got going on for the wings, honestly works so nicely. You can see that we do in fact get a brand new head sculpt for the insect mode. It looks so cool. Really nice metallic paint apps going on there, as well as that red beady Cyclops eye. We've got some mandibles protruding here at the front. Just a wicked design in my opinion. Some nice gunmetal here for the crest, and you can see all of these various different Insecticon legs all looking fantastic. And as we turn our attention to the back, of course, you've got that gigantic abdominal section, all of which has been completely sculpted. So that honestly is a terrific amount of detail in my opinion. And one thing I'm actually just noticing now, which I don't believe the instructions actually mention, is that you can pull this section down, I imagine, to actually fill this out. Now this has become stuck, so I'm not entirely sure whether or not that's as far as it goes, but perhaps this is supposed to come down slightly further. I'm not completely sure, but regardless, it looks fantastic. You can see as we take a look here towards the wings, awesome looking sculpt work. You can see all of the different veins in them, and honestly, I definitely do get almost Beast Wars vibes from this guy, especially Waspinator, in regards to his overall design. Now, in regards to articulation, the head can look up and down. The legs here are all on ball joints, much like we saw in robot mode, but for these front ones here, they can hinge forwards and backwards, as well as hinge here at the actual claw. A point of articulation which is missing on the other four, and then here for the wings, these are of course on ball joints, so can be risen and lowered, as well as of course manipulated side to side. So overall, once again, much like robot mode, this particular Insecticon is looking absolutely fantastic. Size comparison here for the Insecticon in the insect mode. This guy is actually surprisingly really large. You can see that he is pretty much the same size as the entire almost Dorito design here of Voyager Starscream, and this is definitely one of the biggest Voyagers we've seen from this line so far. So as mentioned when we actually took a look at him in package, he is more or less exactly the same size as what we've come to expect now with some of the smaller studio series, such as the likes of the 2007 Jazz, and that really is saying something. So for those of you who want a high quality version of a Bayverse Insecticon into your collection, and you can actually manage to track one of these down, then I would highly recommend to do so, as I really think this is probably the best way to actually get this guy in the collection, as I don't imagine Hasbro or Takara Tomy will ever actually approach this guy in the future, and even if they do, it will probably be a tiny miniature static figure, much like we've seen with the Bumblebee and Sam Witwicky, some of the other characters such as Wheelie and Brains, and even Scorponok and Ravage to a certain extent. So definitely, if you can track this guy down, I would would highly recommend it, as I think the detailing, as well as the sculpt work, the transformation, the robot mode, and just the overall design of this guy really has turned out super, super nice. So overall, that just about wraps up my review for this particular Hunt for the Decepticons Insecticon. I would love to know down in the comment section below what you guys think of this particular character. Do any of you guys actually still own this in the collection? And if you do, what do you think of it? Is it still a figure that you have in your collection, or have you disregarded it? And what do you guys think in regards to actually keeping this with some of the more updated Studio Series figures? You can see, even as we flip here to the side, we've got what appear to be almost thrusters or turbines helping the Insecticon to actually glide along the ground, which once again is just so cool. Honestly, such a fantastic figure. And also be sure to let me know what other figures from the Hunt for the Decepticons line, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, or the 2007 movie that you would like me to take a look at over on the channel. I thank you all for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.